Yeah, I think the provided material, Charlotte, becomes really important. So an exec summary is a handy thing to have. What in those summaries, or if explained via video, for me is important to understand that how did they align to a business challenge. Especially for B2B, it becomes really important. I mean, marketing is in the service of sales or the organization. So when you're approaching this, the whole aspect of what you're trying to solve becomes very important, and how clearly or articulately has that been explained. And that should be simple. It can't be wordy or too jargonistic. Uh, Beyond that, I look at how, because B2B strives a lot on modern marketing, so use of data, technology enablement, and then finally, how has it been executed, and how do you bring in the creativity element there. B2B is typically very rational, so anywhere you can innovate or do something differently, add a layer of creativity, that's, I think, for me, kind of scores higher. And finally is the outcome. I mean, it has to be effective. Otherwise, it's not really worthwhile, because, I mean, as I said, B2B is again about business outcomes. So you might have a great idea. It could be really creative, but if it did not move the needle for business, then perhaps it's not the best thing out there. So these 4 or 5 steps is something that I look into an entry and then kind of evaluate it.
I think for me, it's easier if the submission has either executive summary or a video asset, because many times I feel in the process, when you're evaluating so many entries, the thing, like, it needs to stand out, right? And it's memorable. That's how judges end up kind of shortlisting why there are certain things which get shortlisted versus other. And so I think the exec summary also, it needs to be like an elevator pitch, right? And many times what happens is people follow a set structure saying, okay, this is the objective, this is what we're going to do. But I feel when you are submitting award entries, if you have some of an element, right, which becomes a storytelling kind of a way on how it connects the business problems as to how the marketing strategy was derived, and then quantifying the results, I think it becomes a very good way of narrating or showcasing why exactly do they think their submission is a right fit for that particular award section, and knowing whether or not you fit into that category. I think that's super important. Many times you see a lot of entries, but not necessarily it features in there and you're submitting for multiple categories. So I think it's always good to kind of take a step back, shortlist what you've done and whether or not it's relevant. Then when judges are judging it, it makes their life much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. As someone who ends up kind of sitting in that judging room when it's happening, kind of answering questions, that comes up a lot, actually. It's that judges will see an entry kind of put into a few categories, but not necessarily tailored to that category or retranslated. And then judges end up having quite a lot of questions for us about it, which we can't answer. It's not our work, and it does make it challenging. So that's definitely a good one, I think, because that comes up quite a lot.
I do agree with both Rohan and Asha on both the video and the summary. But I also think that when you're considering doing a video, you have to look at your judges like they are your target audience. So think about how you can hook us in 6 seconds before we press skip, or you might forget about you. Because we do look at like an upwards of 100+ entries at any given amount of time, and it's a lot. So you do need to come up with something that will make it stand out. So think of it like a creative brief, if you will. What can you make us remember the most about your video, or that one takeaway you want us to sort of recall and say that yes, because at the end of the day, in a judging panel, we actually recommend your video, your submission to the other judges as well. And another portion of it is, do share with us the full picture. If you have a website that's live, put it there. If you have social media assets, we want to see it. If you have media that's gone out about your event or EDMs or whatever, we want to see how it all flows together. So make sure that you paint that full picture.